Hi, Douglas Peacock here. Welcome to episode 5 in this episode we're going to be looking at the energy of abuse and how it plays out in your life and how you may be abusing yourself in subtle ways that you may have been totally unaware of. When we look at abuse, we know about the big, bold ways of abuse where you can get domestic violence, where a partner's beating up on another partner or treating them like shit. The other way you have where people get into fights, and you see this on the news all the time on TV, and it's just neighbours fighting. There's levels of abuse going on there, and it blows out to the ultimate extreme in abuse, where you get having countries in conflict and getting into wars. Now, that's not the abuse that I really want to go down and work on that on the bigger level. I want to actually get you to look at the frequency of abuse and how it plays out in your life and how you may be abusing yourself and not even aware that you have actually been doing it. Because one of the big things that's been coming up for a lot of my clients, and it seems to be a pattern out there, so when these patterns arise, I like to share them with you so that you can gain some of the insights and the benefits on ways to deal with these levels of abuse. So on a frequency, you just imagine a big orb of energy, and that's the energy of abuse. And you get it from the real bottom part, where there's just a subtle, disturbance, where there's a slight disagreement, or you're seeing of an opinion in a slightly different way, huge to the optimum on the other realm of the frequency of abuse, where it's just plain attacking each other. Now, when I talk about each other, it doesn't necessarily, when we look at, let's change that again. When we look at abuse, there must be two participants at least. Now, the first one is usually the abuser. So you get the person, and you can see this in a relationship, you see it in domestic relationships, where the abuser is abusing the abusee, or the predator is attacking the victim. It's the same energy. It's the same principle type thing that you look at. And so what you look at is, well, hold on. There's got to be two people. No, there doesn't have to be two people. There can be two aspects of yourself in conflict with each other that are causing the abuse. There can be a version of yourself that does something, and then you hear this voice in your head, oh, you dumb bugger, what'd you do that for? There's a form of abuse. Or you may be going to, it's a common one I see, where you're going to do some project, but your fear comes up, and then you don't do it, and it's like wouldn't think that is abuse, but the thing is, here you had a great opportunity to get this great result, but you talked yourself out of it, and then you go and abuse yourself later on for not taking action because it all would have worked out. And these are these subtle energies of abuse that I want us to have a bit of a look at. The other thing that I want us to that I want to touch on here is we see people abusing themselves, and sometimes we look at this in our celebrations. We go and celebrate, and we go and get we go and drink and get totally off our chops. Hey, I drink. Not blooming saying is right or wrong, but what happens if you look at what's happening with the drinking, and you're seeing people writing themselves off, they're intoxicating their body, they're abusing their body. And you've got to ask the question, well, hold on, why is it when I go to celebrate my success, I go and abuse myself by pouring all this alcohol or drugs or toxicity into my system? What part of that is celebration? When you think about it, it's a little bit crazy why we do it, but hey, I still have a beer, there's nothing wrong with it. Anything in moderation. And one of the things that you look at people where they are having problems with either drugs or alcohol, they're abusing themselves using a certain substance, but at the core of it, they're actually trying to get away from some pain, or because they're drinking to try and get out of the pain. They may be stressed or feeling anxiety, so they're drinking so they can become numb. So where they feel pain and the anxiety or the stress of doing stuff, and they're trying to get themselves out of the pain, yet the vice they're using may not be the best vice. It's the same with drugs. If you delve into why a person may be taking drugs, the initial thing is they're actually trying to just feel peaceful or feel happy or feel calm, just stop the pain of everything attacking them. Yet what they do is so they're looking for something to help them out. They just got an advice that wasn't really, maybe for their highest benefit. So one of the things that I also want to look at is I want you to have a look at, well, what are you telling yourself? When you go to do something and say, like, you're looking in your daily life or you're interacting with your kids or your partners and that, what are you telling yourself? How are you showing up? Where are you allowing others to talk to you in a certain way? Where are you allowing yourself to be spoken to in a certain way? One of the things that we quite often do, and we say it as a throwaway comment, oh, you silly bucket, what'd you do that for? Again, it's a form of abuse. You're beating yourself up. And it may seem, Doug Guy, you've been a bit over the top saying it's abuse, but what is it if it's not? And this is something that I get you to stop and just have a look at. How often do you do it? How often do you say those things to yourself? How often do you say those things to other people? Are you abusing your kids or your partner, but you just think that's just how you speak because you haven't brought it to your awareness? Now, I got a client the other day. I was working with them, and they said they went into the office, and their one of the guys in the office just has a crack at him every time he goes into the office, and he goes, "Geez, it just sucks." And so I got him to stop and got him to have a look at it. I says, "Okay, so this guy's just running this pattern. It's a behaviour that this guy does, and when people are nasty or mean to someone, it's usually because they've got pain going on in their own life, and you don't got to go and find out what their pain is." But only people in pain do hurtful things. So, and that person's throwing out some of this abuse because of what he's doing to himself internally, where he feels uncomfortable. So I said to my client, though, I said, "So hold on a minute. Is this a pattern in you? Do you have this in other areas of your life?" And he said, he's been divorced, and he says, "Yeah, my ex-wife used to, just do these sort of things, and then growing up I had teachers, and then I've had my dad and things like that." So you can see there's a pattern here. So this person that's being the abuseful one, he's just a catalyst that's putting it in your face so you can see, hold on a minute, mate, I've got somewhere inside of myself that I believe that I should be spoken to like that, where I'm being a victim, where I do not know myself as wholeness, where I do not believe that I deserve to be held in a place of love. And so what we did is we went in and did some work on it, and we actually cleaned this out. And the thing that happens is he changed who he was. He changed his vibration and realized that he was no longer going to accept that internal belief of abuse of himself. And in changing that belief, that abuse in himself, his vibration, his energy frequency changed. And in doing so, the way that his boss started treating him began to change, because he became the change that he wanted to see. The frequency began to start opening up, and all of a sudden people around him started treating him differently because he was treating himself differently. And this is a common pattern that happens with most of us. Well, not most of us, all of us, if we're actually vulnerable, honest, and get in there and you're willing to have the courage to go and actually look at where you're abusing yourself. So the other thing that I looked at here, and because I had this other person come up, and they had they're heavy hitters. They play at the big boys, and they've got this huge business that's powering along really well. But over the last 3 to 4 months, they've been getting getting contracts, people defaulting on them and doing all sorts of stuff, and they're getting all this energy coming up, and we've been going in and looking at it. And then over the last week or so, we really started looking into the energy of abuse, of what was going on inside of them. And this was pretty full on for them, but they went into this energy of an old energy that they were carrying inside of themselves, and they unraveled the lid, so to speak, and this abusive energy that came out on where they were just bashing themselves. They were putting themselves last in everything. They were paying all their staff, paying everyone else, and sometimes they weren't even being able to pay themselves. They were really at the nth degree, and the pressure, push had come to shove, and we had to go into what was actually really going on with them, and they were ready. It was just ready, and it came out, and it was pretty full on for them, pretty traumatic, and what actually came out. But underlying it, they had to face where they were abusing themselves to have achieved what they've achieved. Their whole business is changing structure, and what happens with it, everything will begin, the old pattern. They could no longer keep abusing themselves. They had been doing so much work on themselves and pushing to go to another level that they couldn't do it through force. They have to do it another way. They have to be in alignment with the universal flow of energy. And they were using, pushing themselves to the limit and sort of like abusing themselves to get there. And they could go there no longer. And so what we had to do is when the energy came up, because they found it, I didn't tell them what it was. I just took them into where the energy was blocking, and then they were able to see it. And when they stepped into this abuse, they were fearful, and they were scared because it was so big and so dark. But the funny thing is as they stepped into it, it began to release, as it always does. And as they took the light into it, the energy began to pop, and out it all came, and they saw the truth, which was in behind it. Now, one of the things that people try to do is they try to do it on their own, and one of the things you have to remember is our unconscious mind will keep us away from it. And this is where it helps, and this is where I love tracking energy and watching energy and tracking where we can get in and go into where it's getting caught. So the thing is, when you get some of these big things of abuse come up, you're gonna feel like shit. I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you it's all pleasant. When you go into where you're catching yourself, where you're abusing yourself, and you're ready to be bone raw honest with yourself, you're ready to clean it out. Yeah, it's gonna feel like shit for a bit, but by owning it, you take back your house. You take back who you are. You move back into the depths of your spirit of knowing who you are, and you say no more. I will no longer allow myself to be treated like this, because I'm a divine being. Why would I allow myself to be treated like shit? Why would I treat myself like shit? There's no need. I am the light, and the light is me, just as you are. And when they get that, and when they step into that place inside of themselves, I watch businesses turn around with them. They turn their businesses around in no time at all. People start treating them differently. They start treating themselves so much more different. And this is the thing, that the energy of abuse is not to be feared. It's just an energy. And when you see it with light and love, you can then transcend it. If you try and get it out, good luck. You won't. There's a way to be with it that you transcend beyond it. And like a lot of people say, oh, I've got to get this abuse out of me, and they try and pull it. It won't work. If you try and get rid of anything, if you try and think you're broken and you try and get it out, it won't work. You have to know yourself in wholeness in that energy, and then that energy cannot survive in there. So it's about learning how to know yourself. And this is what I help the clients with. The other one where I see people abusing themselves, and this is, been there, got that, done that T-shirt. When people are trying to lose weight and be healthy, and I've seen people that are vegetarians and vegans and really strict on their diet, and their health, some of the crappiest health I've seen, because the stress they put themselves under to try and hold a vibration that doesn't align with who they are. And I'm not having a go at vegetarians or vegans or anything like that, each to your own, but be truthful for why you're eating that way. If it's what you desire, then great, knock yourself out. It'll probably be exactly right for you. But if you love eating steak or love eating meat, and you're trying to be a vegetarian, you're putting more acid and stress in your body through trying to be something that you're not. Allow yourself, if you're meant to go that way, you will naturally go there. The energy will naturally take you there. You'll clean your diet up. And this is where I see people going on these diets, and they are busy abusing themselves by trying to eat something that they just don't want to do. And there's a fine balance, and there's a dance that needs to be done there, where you actually, hold on, am I going, not eating this good food, or I am having that burger or having that chocolate because I'm abusing myself, because I don't feel good about myself, or does my body actually need it? Well, what is it? And that's the hard part to sort of work out. And then I watch people train. You know, one of the funny things is when you train, you know, I'll see people go and thrash themselves, and they're out there and they're doing exercises, pushing weights and running and jumping and doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things. Next thing you see them in a couple of months, you know, a month or so later, and they've pulled a muscle in their leg, or their knees hurting, or X, Y, Z. You know, for me, when I look at it, and I looked at this, yeah, you're not 21 anymore. You know, if you guys like me, my age, or in their 40s or things like that, you're not 21 anymore. Why try and compete and pretend to do something that you used to do? Yeah, you do it to the best of your ability, but you know what you are capable of doing now. And one of the things that I'm finding is you're able to do so much more. You know, I started running 6 months ago to lose weight and things like that. And, you know, and as I started running, I'd just do a little run. Then I thought, oh, wow, I wonder if I could do 50 Ks in a month. Oh, I did it. And then I found I was doing more than 50 Ks in a month. Now I constantly run 100 Ks a month. It's just something I do. But I didn't try and do it all in the first month. It took a bit of time, and now I've been doing it for 4 or 5 months now, where I just run for 100 Ks. And I do it because I enjoy it. And the funny thing about it is it's becoming more joyful. And you know, the thing that I want to try and get, it's not about abusing my body to do the 100 Ks. It's I do it in levels. I listen to my body. I listen to where I'm at. The old me, I would have just forced it, smashed it out. But what I've recognized is by being in flow and alignment with self, you can allow yourself to be healthy, and you can allow your health to go. So some people, and this is where I see people when they're trying to lose weight and things like that, they're abusing themselves, saying that they're fat. Well, if you're overweight, you are fat, so, you know, don't beat yourself up. It's just what you are. So this is what I say to myself: hey, Doug, you're fat. Get over it. You know. Okay, so now you recognise that you're fat. Well, what do you want to do about it? Well, now I just want to be this here. There's my ideal me there. Great, I'm just going for that. Yeah, this is just what I look like now on my way to becoming that. Am I going to beat myself up along the way? No, not now. I used to try and force it. I'd get to that weight. Guess what happens? As I took the tension off, I'd come flying back. But what I've realised and what I've recognised is a form of abuse. I was abusing myself by eating certain kinds of food because of emotion or whatever shit was going on. And then I abused myself by trying to train hard and then starve myself of things, which wasn't healthy either. Now, I'm not a dietitian or anything like that. But the thing is, I watch the energy, and I watch the energy of abuse, and I watch the energies of what's going on. Abuse is just one of them. But if you're looking and you're punishing yourself, it's a form of abuse. If there's ever you're doing anything for punishment, you've got to say, why am I punishing myself here? Do I need to have leverage to achieve a goal? Yeah, maybe you do. But if you're doing it out of abusing yourself because you did something wrong, then the question you've got to ask yourself is why? And all I want you to do is just think about it. You know, if this has been helpful, I want you to actually look at it and look in your life. Look in the areas of your life. Look at your relationship. Where are you abusing yourself in your relationship? Where may you not be standing up and saying what's up for you? Where are you not seeing the truth? Or whereabouts in your business? You know, maybe you're wanting some more clients, or maybe you're wanting some more, move some more product, but you're not doing what you need to do to get it. You know, where are you abusing yourself by not taking action? What story are you telling yourself where you're not taking action? You know, and that story can seem so real. Oh, you know, I don't want to do that because of blah, 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 blah. Story. But all it is a way that you're subtly abusing yourself from keeping you from what you desire. And you look at it and you go, oh, damn, I'm doing it. And all you got to do is just unravel it. It just unravels. And then there you are. What about in your going out in relationships, going out and being around people? How are you there? Are you telling yourself a story that you're an introvert and you can't go out because XYZ? Or are you an extrovert and you're over the top? Or are you not wanting to be seen because of XYZ? Or every time you go out, do you go and get drunk so that you can relax? Or, do you smoke ciggies so that you've got something to do with your hands? What is it for you? Whereabouts are you in those places? And it's not about pointing a finger and saying you're right or wrong. It's just what you're doing. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to change if you want to change. So we don't blame anyone. We just find ourselves where we are. Yeah, I found myself at a space where I was getting fat. Okay, cool. Not my fault. Well, it wasn't. I was eating all this shit, but but what I mean is, well, I can do something about it. It's my responsibility now to either keep getting fatter or do something about it. I chose to do something about it, but I knew I wasn't going to force myself to try and be something I wasn't. I was going, no, this is where I am. That's where I want to be. Okay, what do I need to do to go there? Okay, just do this. Cool. And it's just one step after another. It's very, the thing is being happy inside of yourself and allowing it to happen. Yeah, you've got to work. Yes, there's some uncomfortable parts, but you realize where you're being caught. So hopefully that'll help give some insights into the energy of abuse, because it's not about going out there and blaming anyone else and they shouldn't have done this to me or shouldn't have been done. If something's happening to you, if someone's abusing you, talking to you in a certain way or treating you in a certain way, you've got to stop and ask yourself the question, where do I do that to myself? Because all they're picking up on is the vibration of how you treat yourself. When you change the vibration of how you treat yourself, they will no longer do it to you because it's not acceptable to you. And they will either do two things. They will either change and treat you with respect or how you deserve to be treated, or they'll leave your reality. Either's fine, it's not a big deal. But if we don't clean the energy out of abuse, we just take it from place to place to place. You see people in relationships and they're in an abusive relationship, they get out of the relationship. Then at work, all of a sudden they start getting abused at work, so they leave work. Then in their social group, they start getting abused. And so they, change friends. And then all of a sudden they start putting on heaps of weight because they're abusing themselves. The energy of abuse hasn't been cleaned out. They just keep moving it from place to place. And we all do it. The thing is, can you see where you're doing it in your life? Hey, my name's Douglas Peacock. If you'd like some help with this, go to my website, douglaspeacock.com. And, I'd love to be able to help and show you where the energy's catching you maybe. But have a great day, enjoy, and I'll talk to you next time.